Okay.
Nope. I
What's the
should.
one joke or bit you wrote that you thought was brilliant, but just completely bombed every time you used it? I want to hear the joke.
Well, that's interesting because if I did something and it bombed more than twice, I stopped doing it. So I can't
Okay.
say,
That's
oh,
good.
here's the thing that I keep doing that bomb. That's part of the process is you write things and they don't work and you dump them. Honestly, I'd have to go through my archives
Yeah.
to find something that worked so bad that I stopped doing it because it's my brain is protecting myself by forgetting those bits.
And I don't blame you.
Um, Legit, I would have to go through the archives and figure that one out. But the thing is, there's always going to be stuff that doesn't hit every time.
Exactly.
Um, it's a little bit random. Some audiences are going to prefer this, some of them are going to prefer that. Um, you know, I can tell you a bit that works about half the time, which is not
Okay.
enough. So I
I'll
don't
take
do it
that.
very often.
Okay.
Uh, I talk about how, so when I do stand up, I'm not wearing my glasses, and I talk about how you're supposed to know your type in Hollywood to be an actor. You got to know your type. Are
Okay.
you an action hero or a action hero's best friend or whatever? And I know my type. My type is 1940s dowager. My type is Margaret Dumont. Now, most people under 60 don't know who Margaret Dumont was. She was
Exactly.
the old lady in the Marx Brothers movies.
Exactly.
I never. So I have a bit about
Very good.
that's my
Very
Hollywood
good.
type, and thank you. But it doesn't work enough for me to do all the time. If I'm working with an older crowd and I know they'll appreciate it, then sometimes I'll bust it out. But generally speaking, my Margaret Dumont it's my inner Margaret Dumont, and I'm older than she was when she was Margaret Dumont. That's the thing. So yeah, but she
All
was
right.
she was I believe an unrecognized genius.
What's the strangest or most surprising location you've ever been asked to perform a set?
On a bus. I've
A
done
bus?
gigs on buses twice. Yeah. The first time, that was it was my previous lifetime, my first go around at comedy. I used to occasionally do Dr. Ruth Westheimer. That's how long ago it was. And I was hired to do Dr. Ruth on a bus for a bachelor party that was going from one place to another, and there was like a 20-minute drive. They thought it would be fun to have comedy in between as Dr. Ruth. The problem there was that they didn't have a microphone on this bus, and they all had the windows open because it was summer. So I'm literally yelling over traffic. That did not go well. But I got to make up for it many years later, a couple years ago, in Northampton, Massachusetts. There is a comedy bus. It's called Chucklin' Charlie, the comedy bus, and he still does shows, on weekends, and they're great. He has a great sound system built into the bus, and the audience is all BYOB because obviously they don't have a bar on the bus, so people bring everything did and having a great time. So I kind of got to make up for my previous bad bus experience with a
That's
good
good.
bus experience.
I would have liked to have heard the jokes that you told on that bus.
Well, I mainly did my act, but I also kind of called people out. Like there was a couple sitting right in front of me. They had a cooler and they opened it up and they had like a bag with it had to be 50 Jello shots in different colors arranged in a pattern in the bag. And they just start handing them out. I'm like, okay, that is next level prepared. They had a
That's
whole
right.
cooler, it with the flavors. It was amazing. Yeah, they were truly prepared. And I'm like, no other comedy club will let you bring in your own freaking Jello shot. That
Really.
was
Well, I
they
guess
were
maybe they're
ready.
safer on the
Yeah.
road. They don't need to have that liquor license. Like you said, it's bring your own. It's a great
Exactly.
idea.
They
It's a
right.
great
Well, there's
idea.
it, it is amazing. The bus
Yeah.
goes for about 45 minutes and then it stops at a place where people can, pee as they will have to and maybe
Right.
get some food or something. And then they get back on, we go back, and it just winds through town, and it's scenic, and we
Nice.
make fun of some of the places we go by, and it's just really fun. Yeah.
Do you have a pre-show
Chuckling Charlie.
Chuckle and Charlie? And that's in what town in Massachusetts?
That is in Northampton, Massachusetts.
Northampton. Okay. Well,
Yep.
it's going to be mentioned
Highly
in the
recommend.
podcast, so hopefully we can send him some business his way. Do you have a pre-show ritual um, that you do almost every time?
Stretch. I do some, bending over and stretching and stretch my arms and uh I can't eat before a show. I know some people who can and I cannot, which is why when they say, "Oh, come to our show, there's, free dinner." I'm like, that does not help me because I'm not going to eat. I just can't. I can't eat right before a show. Um I actually had a discussion about this with Weird Al one night.
Really?
I
Yankovic.
saw Weird Al. I Yes, I've known him for years. And I was backstage pre-show, and he was saying, they lay out this whole food thing, obviously for the band and the crew and everyone. And he always said, "Yeah, I always want to eat, but then after the show, I'm like, where's my food? I did a show. I want food. You do the work and then you want the food. It's just a very, very, human thing." So
Right.
yeah, he said that's why he would sometimes gain weight on the road because, big dinner before the show, and then after the show, where's my food? And I kind of feel the same way. Like I can starve all day to do a show, but then after the show, where's the Burger King? Where's the Taco Bell? Come on.
Right.
It's
Well, you've
it's a
expend
very bad
you've
habit I'm trying to
expended
get out of.
all of that energy,
I
so you need it. You need to have some
Yeah,
fuel.
yeah, I eat a Taco Bell. Yeah, sure.
I
Eat
eat a
Taco
Taco
Bell.
Bell. It's
Uh-huh.
always good for my
Yeah.
digestive system.
Yeah. It's you know what? Everyone jokes about Taco Bell like that. I have never had a problem, so maybe it's you.
It could be me. But you know what? I was very upset when they did away with their 7-layer, burrito, which they brought back recently because it was n all vegetarian, and I thought that was really great, and then they took it away, but they brought it back, but I don't know what happened to it since. Where do you usually find
I
your
didn't even
jokes?
know that's too big.
Yeah. Where
Uh,
do you find your
in my
jokes?
head? In my
Yeah.
head.
But what
And
makes you
then they're in
what
my
brings a
notebook.
joke onto you? In other words, are you walking down the street or you meet somebody or you're in the middle of a conversation and you come up with something, you say, "Gee, this will work in my bits." No?
If I knew that, I'd be on my 3rd album.
Okay.
I am not a very I'm not a very disciplined writer. I do not have,
Okay.
a huge stockpile of material. I have a lot of stuff I don't do anymore because I don't think it's funny anymore. And I have a lot of stuff I don't do because it needs a certain kind of audience that's going to be a little more accepting of weird, dark stuff. Um, a lot of it, it just like pops in my head and I write it down.
Okay.
Some of it is actually sitting down and thinking about a specific subject and writing down ideas and then cutting out the 20 that don't work. So it's just, it really depends. But a lot of my favorite bits just showed up one day.
Isn't that
And
amazing?
the great Geechee Guy, yeah, are you familiar with Geechee Guy? Do you
No,
remember
I'm
him?
not. No, I'm not.
He, okay, he passed away a couple years ago. He was the king of one-liners. I think he may have had a world record for the number of jokes told in one set.
Really?
Uh, and they were all puns, and he's just brilliant. And I did a workshop with him, and I said, "What about jokes that write themselves? Should they be allowed to do so?" Because sometimes you start writing something, and it's like, well, obviously it should be this, and then it's too easy, and that means to me it can't possibly be original or funny. And he
Mhm.
said, um, jokes might write themselves, but they don't write themselves down. So that was a big eye opener to me. It's like, it's
That's true.
okay if something feels too automatic, if it feels too logical and instant, that's fine. Maybe a lot of people have had that thought, but you write it down and it is yours. So yeah, sometimes I will see something that will make me laugh. I'll hear something that will make me laugh. It has to make me laugh first. If I don't laugh, then I'm not going to bother trying to make other people laugh with it.
Right, I understand.
I have, yeah, my knowledge of comedy, sadly, is very, very deep. I think a lot of comics who don't know history kind of have an advantage because they write things that they don't know have been done, and they keep doing them because the audience doesn't know they've been done. But uh, long before beginning to perform, I was a fan of comedy. I listened to records like from the age of about 6 because my parents were into comedy. They bonded over Lenny Bruce when they first
Yeah.
met. You know,
Huh.
that was they. We still quote Lenny Bruce in our house. When I'm at home, he's still part of our lives. Like, what do you want for dinner? A chiclet, a fig Newton? Which if you know that bit, that's from Lenny Bruce. Um, so yada yada yada, fada. Which, yeah, okay. So apparently, um, Wikipedia used to credit yada 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 to
Yeah.
Seinfeld, but
Yes, but that's
it
not really
wasn't
true.
Seinfeld.
No.
It is absolutely not true. It goes way, 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 way back. And if you want to find a comedian who first used it, that would probably be, if it wasn't Myron Cohen, and I can't think of a joke where he did, but it was Lenny Bruce has a bit
Mm.
where somebody is talking to a chaplain, and the chaplain is talking, and the other guy goes yada 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 fada, which is hilarious.
That's a great line.
So And so even though Wikipedia said it was Seinfeld, and my dad is the one who went on Wikipedia and said, "No, it was Lenny
No.
Bruce." Yep. So I haven't looked at Wikipedia lately, but that was his
I'm gonna
contribution.
have to look
So,
that up. I'm gonna have to look up because I
yeah,
had a
so
company at one
I'm
point,
just
it was
saying
called Yada Yada Coffee.
they didn't
Okay,
invent it either.
what's the weirdest or the most specific compliment you've ever received after a show?
Well, how about the absence of a compliment or the absence of a comment that
All
made me
things
very happy?
I listen to all things, young lady, go ahead. Hit me with
I
it.
I did a show at Stir Crazy in Phoenix. I don't know
Okay.
if you know this, but Arizona is an open carry state.
Yes.
And as I'm saying hi to people on the way out of the room, I saw that one guy had a gun on him.
Yes.
And I was very proud that nothing happened with that gun during the show. To me, that was the best thing that ever happened for a show was nobody getting hurt from a
Right.
guy who was carrying a freaking gun into a comedy club. Why? What did
Why?
he think was gonna happen? I don't know.
He was
Yeah,
protecting
that
he
made
was
me very happy to
protecting the
see that he was
comedian. He was there to protect the
I
comedian.
don't think I think he was waiting for someone to say something, This was before MAGA. This was before the
Yeah.
Pando. Well, it was may not have been before MAGA, but it was before the Pando, and it was
It
just
it's a crazy
terrifying.
world out there. It's a crazy world out there. So, uh, what are the favorite, venues that you like to do? Or, you're probably gonna say to me, "I like to do every venue." Is there a certain kind of venue that you
Yeah.
like, gives a certain kind of audience? What would that be?
Well, I mean, I can't afford to be picky. If you call me to do a gig and offer me a couple of bucks, I'll be there. There's no question. Um, I have done shows in, I mean, I've done a few shows. They're a little bit challenging. Um, Before weed was legal everywhere, some towns would have a thing we called a smokeasy. It was like a speakeasy, but for weed. And
Mhm.
your audience is like more than stoned. They're beyond stoned. But because they're in a safe place to do that, and sometimes they want comedy, and those are really fun shows because as long as you speak slowly enough for them to understand you, they get every joke. So
Hmm.
those are fun shows.
That's good.
Um, yeah, I like, honestly, I like a show where nobody knows who I am. That's really my ideal situation is where nobody knows who I am because I am very easily underestimated.
It's interesting
I
that
do
you
a lot of
say that
I
about yourself.
yeah,
It's
but it's
interesting.
true. I mean, I've experienced it. I did a oh my gosh, I did a YouTube thing, and we're going viral, like a 22-year-old kid and his buddy, and it was like a make me laugh. Like you had 60 seconds to walk in the studio and make them laugh, right? I walked into that studio, and it was me and about 20 other comics, most of whom I had rounded up for this gig. And the deal was you got paid $50 for doing it, and if you made them laugh, you get another $100. So there's some pressure, right? So I walked into the room blank face, into the studio, and there's all the other crew and everything. And I just walk up and like that. And before I say anything, the kid turns to his buddy and goes, "Where do they get these people?" And I started doing my stand up and cracked him within about 10, 20 seconds because he made in a lot of assumptions. This is my life is I get a lot of assumptions made about me. It's one of the reasons I have my pin that says
It's on
nobody's
the other
mom because
side, yeah.
people assume. Yeah, I figured it out. There it is.
There it is.
A
It's the
mirror
one, it's the
image here
sharp
because
it's the
that's
sharp pin that's sticking in your chest.
there we go. There we go. I had these made because everyone assumes I'm somebody's mom. And, people assume I'm an old lady who took a comedy class at the senior center or whatever.
And none of those
They have
things are
no idea.
true. Right, none of those
None of
things are
those things.
true.
No, no, I haven't taken a comedy class for decades.
Well, you know what?
And
The
there are some people who can teach it. Most people just have to do it from experience. So,
I do have one comment about what you said, because you said that, you'll take basically any job that will pay you. And here you are spending
and
about
some that
30
don't.
minutes with me, and I'm not paying you anything. So I know that that's true. Oh, you didn't remember that?
Talking to my agent. No,
Right.
I knew that. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I
I don't
know,
care.
I know.
I
I
am,
know.
like I said, not that picky. I
That's all
mean,
right.
I have
That's
been
all right.
known to drive
Now I
to
feel
San
bad.
Diego
She's
for
not that picky. She picked on me.
honey. When it's a low bar, you're just gonna slide under it. It's fine.
I agree.